Yeah. Um, my fifth question for you, Jonathan, is what are your thoughts on a general strike?
Ooh, I like the idea. I mean, I think it would actually, I think if you had a general strike, it would make things happen. You could make change. But the calling for a general strike is dangerous, very dangerous. I'm not
Yeah.
calling for it, but
Not it.
I think that I think that okay, wasn't too long ago that we had a what was it, a government shutdown, and
Yeah.
some federal employees were not getting paid, and it was the air traffic controllers when they said, "Hey, we're not coming to work anymore." Things got done. So a labor strike does do some good. So hey, one sec.
No worries.
Let me just make sure this is my last question.
All right.
What are your thoughts on a general strike?
Now that you're gonna have to explain to me. I do not
A general
know.
strike, that's pretty much in order to get the big wigs everywhere. As what Bernie Sanders called the 1%, the top 1%, or um, the wealthy and powerful, to get them to help the people. Everyone stays home from work for a day or longer to get their attention and get them listening. That's basically the general premise of a general strike, as is in other countries.
I'm not really a big believer in that. I think we have a duty kind of. I'd rather send letters, make your phone calls, do your social media posts, whatever you need to do to get in touch with your government. I'd rather do that than disrupt the economy and disrupt the livelihoods of a lot of people.
Yeah.
No, I'm not a big believer in that.
All right. So just to look at introduction, this is Mike Larson, and would you like to talk about your background and experiences that you'd like to share?
Sure. I've been very lucky to have kind of two careers that went on simultaneously. I was a comedy writer, a television comedy writer and comedian for many years. Still do that to some degree. But I worked on a whole bunch of great shows, including the Drew Carey Show and Ellen and Two Guys and a Girl and Real Time with Bill Maher. But then simultaneously with that, I've worked in politics. I started writing speeches for progressive politicians when I was in college. And then I followed that up by working on a bunch of campaigns and did a couple of stints in Washington. The most recent was 2008 to 2012 was a communications director for Congresswoman Jackie Speer, who represents Northern California. And then I moved to Ohio, which is where my wife's from. I took advantage of an early retirement from the Writers Guild that let me take it at 52, which was awesome. So we took it and moved out here, continue to write. Before COVID, I was going back and forth to LA all the time for meetings. Obviously haven't been doing that. Although I am just back from a epic road trip to San Francisco where my dad lives. I drove out there last month. In fact, the last time we talked was from my dad's house, the house I grew up in. So I drove out, kind of fixed up my dad's house and hung out with him for a few weeks. He's 88 and getting to the point where, you say, let's make sure I get to see my dad one more time. Hopefully he'll still be here after we all get vaccinated and we can go see him again. But I wanted to make sure of it.
Yeah. So yeah, you lived an awesome. I know a lot of people that would be impressed, very impressed with your resume, your life experiences, your and I quite enjoyed our last talk. Yeah, that was a really fun good talk, and it was my first interview ever.
Oh, great. Yeah. No, I took a lot of chances. Nothing I did was ever. The odds were never in my favor. I mean, to be a television writer. I mean, God, there's 100 million people want those jobs, and there's maybe 100 jobs, and it's super competitive. But I went into everything with the knowledge that I would probably fail, and that's cool,
Yeah, smart.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
But,
my first question. What's that?
There's a lot of people who would prefer to just have a steady job that lasts for 40 years, and that's great, and they probably end up better off in the long run. But that's just not for me. I'm always looking for my next adventure.
Yeah, that's really amazing and interesting and wonderful. I mean, that's I hope one day I could be as interesting as you.
Yeah, well, you fall. My greatest story. This is kind of like my mantra is the idea of this woman wrote an essay where she talked about constant forward motion. She said, "You're gonna fall, so fall forward." And she told the story of there's this 100-mile race across Death Valley that they do in like August.
Oh,
and
my
it's
goodness.
120 degrees. She, I think, had just gotten a divorce or something. She wanted to try something. She knew nothing about the race. She just signed up. And, you have a van there with you to give you water and stuff. And so she just kept moving. She kept moving. And at the end, she had no idea where she was in the pack. Turns out, not only did she win, but she shattered the record. Because the way you run that race is you run at night and then you sleep during the day and then you run at night. And so most people, it takes like 4 days, and she did it in like 20 hours.
Wow.
But the idea was, she said, I just kept moving. I kept moving, even if and that was, she said, if you're going to fall forward. And I just kind of love that idea that, you take baby steps,
Very, very profound. Very profound story, an idea and concept. Yeah, for sure. My first question for you, well, the only question, because if I'm not mistaken, you want to just talk about one question at a time per interview, right?
Yeah, however you want, but I think that way we can keep on topic. But
okay,
see where it goes.
What are your opinions, thoughts, and experiences with a general strike? Or general strikes in general.
Wow, a general strike. Well, it's certainly. There are countries that have had general strikes. They tend to be smaller countries and have a much higher percentage of union workers. Places like France. I'm thinking of Portugal. I think had one. The problem with the United States, we just have a trouble all doing something, even if it's something easy, like wear a mask, let's kill the stupid virus, right? I mean, that is like low hanging fruit, and look, 30% of the people think, that's, we're trying to control their brain by asking them to just not infect their neighbor. Now, somebody recently is calling for a general strike. Do you know who is it? There was something recently. I remember just reading about it.
I want to say AOC, but I don't know, to be honest.
Right. Yeah, I know. Well, I think to some degree, the closest we came to a general strike is probably the 99% protests in New York.
Oh, Occupy?
The Occupy New York, the Occupy movement.
Yeah, Occupy Wall Street, yeah.
Right, and that was, very limited, but it was people walking out on, companies that were heavily influenced by Wall Street. And it was a powerful movement. I think it led to why the progressive movement is as strong as it is now. I think that was one of the things that kind of led to whether it's the success of AOC or Elizabeth Warren or Bernie, whatever, even pushing more centrist Democrats like, Joe Biden and, Buttigieg, all these guys talk about reforming Wall Street now, and that wasn't really thing. Of course, it came out of the banking collapse. But that was a clip. But even then, that was a pretty small number of people. I think you could do something like that locally, maybe, if there was something that I have a really good friend who grew up in Flint, Michigan. She's now in New York. She's a librarian. But, with the Flint water crisis, when the government did that, the water in Flint was fine. They wanted to save money, so they switched over from the system they were on to this other system with using these old lead-lined pipes, and the water became undrinkable. It still is. They still have to use bottled water. That's the kind of thing I could see a general strike for a city to say, hell no, we're not going out. We are, nationally, I think that, the protests after George Floyd and the fact that it became more national, that it wasn't just, when Michael Brown was shot, the marches were primarily in Ferguson. There were others around the country. But with George Floyd, because it was so egregious and we all watched it happen, they were instantaneous and everywhere. There was a march. I mean, I live in Union County, this Republican agricultural county in Ohio, and there was a march, immediately. And that kind of felt something akin to a general strike, but it's not. General strike means you shut down the economy.
I'm thinking, I hope I'm wrong, but not that we've gotten so stupid and so lazy, being on top of the world for the past, at least, since World War II, if not earlier. It will take for every able person, every sane person, and every person that has any morals to see a big, large asteroid in the sky. Something that if you're able to see, if you're all mentally there, and if you're not concerned about making the most money possible at every single second, if you see this asteroid coming and and then everyone unanimously agrees, hey, if we don't either get off this planet or somehow get this asteroid out of our direction, we're all gonna die. That might. I hope I'm wrong, but I think that might be the only way to.
Well, here's a hypothetical. What if Trump was successful at stealing the election when we all know he lost?
Oh, yeah, everyone would be pissed. Or at least most people would be pissed.
That could lead to at least a general strike for 55% of the population, maybe at least. I could see then people saying, oh, hell no. But, of course, you have to take COVID out of it, because right now we kind of are on a general strike.
Yeah.
no one's working anyway. So, but I could see something like that, something so egregious, that could lead to that. But I said, in 2000, when with Bush versus Gore, when the Supreme Court said, no, you're not allowed to count ballots anymore, which was completely arbitrary. It wasn't based on anything. It was simply, there's more Republicans than Democrats on this court, so too bad. At that moment, I remember having a conversation with friends and saying, why are we not getting guns and going into the streets? Any other self-respect, and I mean me personally, why am I such a wuss that I'm not defending my democracy the way people have defended their democracies in other countries? but we didn't. And part of it was Al Gore, saying it is what it is, let's move on, because he's a decent human being and didn't want to see people dying, and but that's in my life, that is the biggest moment where I thought, man, we should probably be fighting,
or at least so some way to I always thought as long as you don't actually hurt someone, I guess under the idea that you can't go to prison for looking at someone wrong. You can't go to prison for, as long as you keep, obviously, you don't, I don't know. I'm kind of thinking out loud right now, but yeah, I don't know. But then again, in the next month or so, a lot of people are going to lose their unemployment. That might be the breaking point. I don't know, but
yeah, well, but at that point though, it would be a strike against the new administration, which isn't the cause for these problems, so it'd be kind of weird. The idea that you said about I have always been a pacifist. Not pacifist might be too much, but I'm a nonviolent person. I've never been someone who wants to start a fight with someone. But there are times. I'm glad that
if you're the second one, you know what? I kind of like the 50+1. But if we were in a different type of government, like England, if you have 3% of the vote, you get 3% of the representation. If we don't have that system here, plus we're never going to get it because there's too many special interests that will not allow it. Simple as that. And it doesn't matter how good it is. So that's why you don't see third parties do well, because they never get any candidates elected. They can get 30-40% of the vote, but they never get anybody elected.
Yeah.
So it's a nice theory. England has it, but we will never have it because our system is basically corrupt enough to keep the system the way it is, and nobody wants to change it.
Ranked choice voting.
I think it's intriguing. I would love to pursue that. I think we would make better choices with ranked choice voting.
Mm-hmm.
Really, like when everything collapsed, when there's a lot of candidates, it's good for us to be able to say who number 2 and number 3 choice is, so that we can really come to agreement, a consensus around the truly best candidate. I like ranked choice voting. I think they have it in Maine, don't they?
They do. Yes, they do. Yes.
Yeah. Are they liking it there?
I don't know, to be honest.
No, I think it's we really need to do that.
I think it would be probably a reasonable sort of thing to do.
Yeah.
You can. There are people that you would like to see there, and that would do a good job. And there might be one person who does maybe just a little better job.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be nice to rank them up and make sure they get represented of your choice. So you don't want to just take the best one and leave the second best one out in the open. So yeah, I'll go for it.
Cool, nice.
Yeah, definitely.
Great. What is your opinion or experience with a general strike?
A general strike?
With enough petitions and with a double majority for constitutional amendments, a double majority is a supermajority of regular voters in Congress. So that way there's no mob rule.
I had to think about that one.
Okay. And what's your opinion, thoughts, and experiences with government-funded elections?
Government-funded elections? That'd be great if it was just government-funded and not gobs of private individuals who had a lot of money and could do that. So yeah, I'd go for government-funded. But the problem is, you got to deal with the rich and powerful,
Yeah.
and they have too much power right now. You have 651 billionaires that control more than $4 trillion right now.
Yeah.
So you're fighting them, and it's hard to fight that much energy.
Yes, sir. I think that's all I got. Thank you.
Haven't had it really, not much experience with it. I mean, we do have occasionally where, you vote on 3 or 4 people out of, 6 or 7, and you take the top 3. Why our democracy is the way it is, I don't know that I can exactly detail, but it was designed from the beginning not to really promote that idea. And it was a winner take all. Pretty much from the start, I think they had in mind a 2-party type of system, not a multi-party.
Okay. And what are your thoughts and opinions and experience with a general strike?
Well, a general strike is like the way for grassroots change. It really is. I think our country is not used to doing that sort of thing. It's going to take a lot of education for people to come together around a general strike. But there is nothing like economics, the power of money to affect change. When you start to hit the powers that be in the pocketbook, and it's about money, that can make change. So boycott is a really good nonviolent technique, and a general strike is as well. Yeah, because then powerful people who don't want to pay attention have to pay attention.
Yeah.
But it works if lots of people come together to do it, and that's the trick.
Yeah.
To get some solidarity.
Yeah.
And all we can do is just keep building. If we can keep building solidarity with people who want this kind of change, little by little we may be able to accomplish that.
Yes, yes.
Probably a good thing to do because that's the only way that you can put pressure on the real problem is with the rich and powerful. Only powerful because they're rich. And the only way you put pressure on those people is to make it hurt, and that's the only way you can really make a difference and get publicity, etc.
Yeah.
General strike is great. I'd be up for that any day.
Nice.
Sure.
What's your opinion and thoughts about a national initiative, referendum, and recall procedure? What are your thoughts on a general strike?
On what, a general strike?
Yes.
Unless it's something really serious, I don't see it happening. I assume you're saying if the president decides not to give power up.
Yeah.
If that would happen, yeah, but I don't see that as happening. I think my own opinion is he's just trying to stretch it out to make as much money as he can before he leaves. So.
Do you have any opinions or thoughts or experiences with ranked choice voting? What's your opinion about or experience with a general strike, if you have one?
General strike for what?
Pretty much the whole nation, or a lot of the nation, decides to stay home from work in protest.
You know what? They're too busy watching TV, on the internet, on Facebook. They don't really, most of these people don't really care unless it affects them. They see terrible things happening to other people, but as long as it doesn't happen to them, they don't care. So is there going to be a general strike all over? No, there won't be, because too many people play video games, watch TV, and are on the internet, and they think about themselves. So,
I just don't see it happening. I think that's very similar to how we would do our amendments to the Constitution, and I just don't see it as succeeding at a national level.
Yeah.
At a lower level, cities, even state, type of thing, I think it can work. But I think at a national level, it's so difficult to even get a constitutional amendment done that way.
Yeah.
That I just don't see that as.
And I believe that's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yep.
And do you have any thoughts and opinions about a national referendum initiative and recall process?
Oh, yeah, that's a nice democracy. It's a good way of doing it.
Yeah.
Trouble is sometimes you can get a bad idea, and the bad idea can get voted on and carried. Like the slave states, if you had a referendum back then, they would enact every horrible legislation to keep people slaves forever.
Yeah.
So all depends. Referendums are good as long as the referendum is good.
Yeah.
But a bad person can start a referendum, and you have many people, and again, slavery was a great example. If you let the slave states determine, we'd probably still have slaves today. It took a civil war to free them.
Mm-hmm.
So, whether some kind of referendum would free them, probably not, because they were willing to fight and die to keep them slaves.
Yeah. And what's your opinion about government-funded elections?
Government, well, that's a nice way. I'd love to see it that way. Take special interest out of it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't see billions of dollars by special interest groups to corrupt our political system and our candidates.
Mm-hmm.
But again, good luck. The
Yeah.
system's so ingrained to set up the way it is. Who's going to change it? The people that benefit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking probably the only way to both ethically and legally get this done is probably if enough people contact their representatives and their senators, if enough people do it. I mean, if there's a big push for it.
And then you got to have a representative that actually listens to the people and doesn't listen to the special interests.
Yeah.
The group that, the people that give him money.
Mm-hmm.
And money talks.
Yeah.
And you know what walks?
Yep, bullshit.
Bullshit walks.
Yeah.
And they like the money, they like the support. Say somebody writes them out a $100,000 check, it's better than a $20 check.
Mm-hmm.
So money corrupts people.
Yeah.
As for eons, the whole history of the world, money corrupts people.
Do you think if a push for all these issues that we just discussed happens at the same time, we might get some good progress?
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like I said, this country's distracted. We have too many distractions.
Yeah. We got lazy.
Lazy, TV, I say games.
Yeah.
People are just used to sitting, and they don't want to be, even when they see something wrong, most of them won't speak up.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we're out here. We see something wrong, we speak up.
Yeah.
You see, there's not tens of thousands of us, so.
We did get a lot during the George Floyd protest.
Yeah, yes we did. Yeah, probably had 1,000 people then.
Yeah.
Yeah, so every once in a while people see the light.
Yeah.
Most of the time they carry on doing whatever they're doing and hope that it doesn't affect them.
Yeah.
So, but, you only can do what you can do.
Yeah. Great. That was great. That was great. Well, it was great talk and great seeing you.
Same here, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you keep hanging in there, keep doing your interviews.
Yes, sir.
Yep. You got to have some freedom of speech, and you got to have different views in this country.
Yeah. I'm going to interview the Republican chair.
Oh, are you?
Justin Smith.
Yeah.
I'm going to interview him on Friday. And I'm going to also interview a libertarian and a democratic socialist. I know socialism is still a taboo word, but I want to make sure that everybody but the white supremacists get a voice, because the white supremacists always had a voice.
Yeah, exactly. They're still alive and well and kicking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you see my sign. I got hate groups.
Mm-hmm.
This side here, hate groups. And they're at an all-time high. So hate groups have always been great.
Yeah.
They have always flourished.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Indeed. And my last question is, what is your opinion or experience with National Citizen Initiative referendum and recalls?
I don't know anything about doing it at a national level except what I see you post.
Yeah.
I do know that I like citizen initiatives here in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
We do have the ability to put something on the ballot if we get enough signatures. Not every state has that right.
Yeah.
And we used it successfully a few years back, probably around 2011, to oppose Senate Bill 5 in Columbus. And that was a bill that was attacking public union rights. And a lot of us felt very strongly about it. We went out and got petition signatures, and then we went to Columbus to support it. And believe it or not, we were able to overturn SB 5. So that, it's not often that you get to see that you could make a difference. So
Yes.
That was one example. So yeah, we're fortunate to have that in Ohio, and I don't know how it works on a national level, but I know I already like it at the state level.
Cool, cool. Very nice. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Matt.
What are your thoughts about a general strike?
I don't know. I have to think about that before I really give a comment. Think both sides.
No worries, no
Yeah.
problem. What are your thoughts about ranked choice voting?
Yeah, I think that should be good.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
Cool. And do you have any thoughts about national citizen initiative, referendum, and recall?
Yeah, we should definitely need to improve that.
Yeah. All right, cool. Anything else?
Oh, it's just good to see everybody out here
Yeah.
week after week,
Yeah.
picking up for peace and justice for all the people.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's very good of these. So,
All right.
thank you.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Let's see what else you have on there.
Very nice. Would you like to be interviewed?
Yeah.
No. Okay.